Vanishing Folklore and Beliefs.
Celtic Folk and Fairy Tales, public domain reading. The Field of Boliauns. One day in harvest, it was indeed Lady Day in harvest, that everybody knows to be one of the greatest holidays in the year, Tom Fitzpatrick was taking a ramble through the ground, and went along the sunny side of a hedge, when all of a sudden he heard a clacking sort of noise a little before him in the hedge. "Dear me," said Tom, "well, isn't it surprising to hear the stone chatter singing so late in the season?" So Tom stole on, going on the tops of his toes to try if he could to get a sight of what was making the noise, to see if he was right in his guess. The noise stopped, but as Tom looked sharply through the bushes, what should he see in a nook of the hedge but a brown pitcher that might hold about 1.5 gallons of liquor, and by a little wee tiny bit of an old man, with a little motty of a cocked hat stuck upon the top of his head, a deeshy-doshy leather apron hanging before him, pulled out a little wooden stool, and stood up upon it, and dipped a little pigeon into the pitcher, and took out the full of it, and put it beside the stool, and then sat down under the pitcher, and began to work at putting a heel piece on a bit of the brow, just fit for himself. "Well, by the power," said Tom to himself, "I often heard tell of the leprechauns, and to tell the truth, I never rightly believed in them. But here's one of them in real earnest. If I go knowingly to work, I am a made man. They say a body must never take their eyes off of a leprechaun, or they will escape." Tom now stole on a little further with his eyes fixed on the little man, just as a cat does with a mouse. So when he got up quite close to him, he said, "God bless your work, neighbor," said Tom. The little man raised up his head and said, "Thank you kindly," said he. "I wonder you'd be working on the holiday," said Tom. "That's my own business, not yours," was the reply. "Well, maybe you'd be civil enough to tell us what you've got in the pitcher there," said Tom. "That I will, with pleasure," said he. "It is a good beer." "Beer?" said Tom. "Thunder and fire, where did you get it?" "Where did I get it, is it? Why, I made it. And what do you think I made it of?" "I know not," said Tom. "I suppose malt. What else could it be?" "There, you are out. I did not make it of malt. I made it of heath." "Of heath?" said Tom, bursting out laughing. "Ha! Sure you'd think me a fool to believe that." "Do as you please," said he, but what I tell you is the truth. Did you never hear tell of the Danes?" "Well, what about the Danes?" said Tom. "Why, all the about them there is that when they were here, they taught us to make beer out of the heath, and the secret's in my family ever since." "Will you give a body a taste of your beer?" said Tom. "I'll tell you what it is, young man. It would be fitter for you to be looking after your father's property than to be bothering decent, quiet people with your foolish questions. There now, while you're idling away your time, there's the cows. They have broken into the oats, and they are knocking the corn all about." Tom was taken so by surprise with this, that he was just at the very point of turning around when he recollected to himself, so afraid that the like might happen again, he made a grab at the leprechaun, and caught him up in his hand. but in his hurry he overset the pitcher and spilt all the beer, so that he could not get a taste of it to tell what sort it was. He then swore that he would kill him if he did not show him where his money was. Tom looked so wicked and so bloody-minded that the little man was quite frightened, so says he, "Come along with me a couple of fields off, and I will show you a crock of gold." So they went, and Tom held the Leprechaun fast in his hand, and never took his eyes from him, though they had to cross hedges and ditches and a crooked bit of bog, till at last they came to a great field, all full of Boliauns. And the Leprechaun pointed to a big Boliaun, and said he, "Dig under that Boliaun, and you'll get a great crock, all full of golden guineas." Tom in his hurry had never thought of bringing a spade with him, so he made up his mind to run home and fetch one, and that he might know the place again, he took off one of his red garters and tied it around the Boliaun. Then he said to the Leprechaun, "Swear ye'll not take that garter away from the Boliaun." The Leprechaun swore right away not to touch it. "I suppose," said the Leprechaun very civilly, "you have no further occasion for me?" "No," says Tom. "You may go away now if you please, and God speed you, and may good luck attend you wherever you go." "Well, goodbye to you, Tom Fitzpatrick," said the Leprechaun, "and much good may it do to you when you get it." So Tom ran for dear life, till he came home and got a spade, and then away with him as hard as he could go, back to the field of Boliauns. But when he got there, lo and behold, not a Boliaun in the field, but had a red garter, the very model of his own, tied about it. And as to digging up the whole field, that was all nonsense, for there were more than 40 good Irish acres in it. So Tom came home again with his spade on his shoulder, a little cooler than he went, and many's the hearty curse he gave the Leprechaun every time he thought of the neat turn he had served him.
Vanishing Folklore and Beliefs.